Welcome to the Hit List. Here are 5 of our favorite fighting games that came so close to scoring a 10. Number 5 is Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution. Number 4, Capcom vs. SNK 2 EO. Number 3, Def Jam Fight for New York. Number 2, Dead or Alive Ultimate. And number 1, Fight Night Round 3. Welcome back to the first annual Chicken Shoot Awards of the worst games you can find on the Wii for 2008.
Games.
The worst game.
The worst game.
Why are you saying worst?
On the Wii.
On the Wii. All right, it's not really a versus because these are totally different types of games.
Yeah, one's a shooter and one's a Super Nintendo game.
They're both shooters. One's a light gun shooter. The other one's a sort of 2D scrolling shooter.
Both from about 1994.
Yeah, both very old, very reminiscent of the old glory days.
You know what we should have did?
Quote,
we should have did like the
Yeah.
Secret of Mana versus Mad Dog McCree.
Yeah, seriously. Let's talk about Target Terror first, then we'll get to Heavenly Guard. Okay, Target Terror. It is a light gun shooter made by Raw Thrills, which is led by Eugene Jarvis of Defender, Robotron, Smash TV, Cruisin' fame.
Some of the best classic games ever made.
Just, if you say a video game developer made Defender and Robotron as a sentence,
and he made Target Terror, you're like, well, it's going to be the greatest game I've ever played.
Well, Eugene, we've had him on Electric Playground a lot. He's a great guy. He is all about recapturing the glory days of the arcade.
He's all about bringing us back to that era, and man, did he go back.
And he loves that whole thing. He still makes the Fast and the Furious arcade game. And, you know, Raw Thrills is about that kind of stuff. So this game harkens back to a day when we would accept crap like this and say, wow, let's plug a quarter into it. But this is garbage. I mean, this is lowest common denominator kind of crap where you shoot somebody against a green screen, you digitize them into a video game, and you have them doing all kinds of silly animations where they're getting shot. Now, it would be kind of cheesy fun if the targeting was dead on. If you really felt like you could
like shooting off screen to reload. I'm like, I'm shooting off screen.
I know.
I'm not aiming at the damn screen.
Total pain in the ass. So you've played these kinds of games before. You get a bunch of cheesy actors playing multiple roles.
You get whole 9 levels.
Yeah.
Little hidden one. There's 9 mini games to unlock.
Yeah. What are the levels? You get San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge,
Golden Gate Airport, and the nuclear plant.
And the nuclear plant. Okay. So why do joggers just appear in the top levels of the Golden Gate Bridge?
I don't know. And why are there strange girls running around in nuclear power plants?
I know.
You find different power-ups, there's different weapons. You know, your RPG, flamethrower.
You have an ice gun.
The ice gun, my favorite.
I mean that there are some ideas in here that could have been fun, but it really comes down to the targeting is lame, the acting is brutal, and what's terrible now is that the resolution on the Wii and game consoles now, you can actually tell who the actors are.
You know what it does remind me of?
You'll get recognized now, though.
When I play this game,
how embarrassing.
What it brings to mind?
What?
Chicken Shoot.
Chicken Shoot, yes. Well, that's why it's one of our first contenders for the worst Wii game of 2008.
The worst Wii game of 2008.
So what are you going to give Target Terror?
0.5.
I'm going to give it a 1. Off to a wham-bam start right there. Okay, let's talk about Heavenly Guardian now. Oh, this is brutal. I know. Heavenly Guardian is a top-down shooter where you use the Wiimote to spin around, and you basically use a bunny as your targeting thing. It's called
Target bunnies.
Toto the Bunny. It is kind of like Geometry Wars and Robotron and those kinds of things, where you can move in one direction and shoot in another. The content, is not as cool as some of the other things. I like the big skeleton boss and all that stuff. I mean, it's not
Screw
cool.
that skeleton boss. That guy was a damn cheater.
It's definitely not worthy of being on a Wii disc.
On an entire disc in its own box.
Not at all. There is co-op play and stuff like that, but you know what? You can't.
That's innovative.
You can't fault the old school design. It just doesn't deserve to be packaged and resold and sold as a brand new Wii experience. If this had been a downloadable thing on the Wii,
if this had been some WiiWare,
because it's a.
You know what it should have been? It should have been a Super Nintendo download.
I know, man. It's totally a Super Nintendo game. It doesn't look as good as Super Nintendo games did by any means, but if it was that and it cost $5. Maybe it'd be okay for a couple hours. I didn't hate it as much as Target Terror. I'm going to give it a 1.5.
I'm giving it a 1.
So there you go. Don't say we didn't warn you. We're just doing our jobs, playing the crap games so you don't have to.
Yes.
The first 2 of our inaugural Chicken Shoot Worst Wii Games of the Year awards.
Definitely. The winner, Chicken Shoot game of 2008.
We're only halfway through 2000.
So far.
There might be some really crap games.
We're halfway
but the one that's in the lead is
Target Terror.
Agreed.
Today on the show, Jose and I took a look at Don King Presents Prize Fighter. Conceptually, this is a good fit, and the cutscene storytelling is cool, but the collision problems and unsatisfying fighting make this game lose in a TKO. Age of Conan Hyborian Adventures is easy to pick up and play. The combat is very satisfying and is simply one of the best MMOs ever. However, you can't pick up items from defeated enemies. Death Jr. Root of Evil. This is the first time that Death Jr. is available on the consoles, and the controls are pretty good, and there are some pretty interesting, spooky, and cartoony elements, but unfortunately the gameplay feels routine and simplistic. Today in Versus, we took a look at Target Terror. This is a light gun shooter from the creator of Robotron and Defender. Well, that's the positive. Brutal acting, silly animations, bad targeting, and only 3 levels. Simply put, this game is garbage. We looked at that one against Heavenly Guardian. The ability to move in one direction while shooting in another is always cool, but there's nothing innovative here, and this is certainly not worthy of being anything more than a downloadable game. The Rogers Video Game of the Week is the Barbarious Age of Conan Hyborian Adventures.